Hello, everybody. It is Agony333, and we're here for another fucking movie review. In celebration for the release of the new Grudge movie, I decided to go back to a movie that is near and dear to my heart, and it is The Grudge from 2004. But before we delve into the synopsis and the early things like that, I was going to give some backstory. So, way back when, I was 12 years old, and it was my birthday. And me and a good friend of mine at the time, we basically went and seen this movie for my birthday in theaters when it released, and it scared the shit out of both of us. It was a really great time, and as you can maybe already kind of tell, I'm leaning towards liking this movie. Yes, I really like this movie. That's why I'm celebrating the new release and all that shit. But yeah, I wanted to give my thoughts on this movie because I've always liked it over the years. It's really stuck with me. As I said, I watched it when I was 12. The trailer to the film, in particular, is I think what drew me in. Just the trailer, even itself. I remember when I was young and the trailer came on late at night. I'd watch like Adult Swim, all kinds of late night shit, and this trailer would come on, and it was just the looks of like the ghostly apparition, just the visuals of the trailer gave me chills alone. So when I was a kid and when it released and it was around my birthday, I was like, this is the movie I want to see. And I'm definitely happy I went and seen it because it delivered for me then. And even to this day, it kind of gives me strange vibes, chills and stuff. I rewatched it for this review, obviously. But yeah, I wanted to give that backstory, the connection there, and there's, other things I'm going to also get into later on. But I think the reason, at least for me personally, why this film was crucial and a really awesome film was when I think back to it, at least when I was thinking, I'm like, what was really special about this film? Not only, was it done well, at least in my opinion, but when I think about it, I grew up with 80s horror, probably 70s horror, I don't know, all eras. I grew up with all kinds of horror, the 90s, all that stuff, slasher flicks, monster flicks. But you got to think back then, before Netflix, before all of those services readily available. Back then, when you'd go to a fucking movie store, at least for me, I wasn't really exposed to foreign horror. I was just used to what I grew up with. So seeing like The Ring and The Grudge was, it was a different kind of experience. At least that's what I feel. It has a different horror feel. And so I think that's partially why it was successful as a kid, when you've never really seen this kind of thing being kind of done the way it was. It had a different kind of impact. It kind of caught you off guard. At least that's how I felt. It felt so different from everything else that I had seen at the time. So it definitely stood out. But I just wanted to give that little bit before we begin. So let's begin this shit. Yeah, it's Grudge from 2004, the American remake. I have also seen, Ju-on, The Grudge 2, Ringu, The Ring. I've seen The Grudge, The Grudge 2, and The Grudge 3. So, I mean, I've watched a good amount of them, but we're going to focus on this one, of course. Yeah, like I said, 2004. It is an hour and 31-minute runtime, and it is a horror mystery thriller. So, what's the synopsis of this bad motherfucking movie? Well, basically, there is a person who's basically transferred over to Tokyo, an American, and she's basically like a home nurse. She goes to people's homes who are in need and helps them out. But basically, upon arriving at this particular home that the movie is set kind of by, very strange things begin to happen, and she's basically caught up in this malicious storm of horror. And man, like I couldn't imagine to go through the shit that the characters go through in this movie, man. I'd probably be huddled in a damn corner with a gun, or I don't even know. I mean, there's nothing you can basically do. That's all I'll say. This movie shows you that it has this another vibe of kind of doom, just this really dark presence to it, is how I feel. I mean, even the opening music and stuff like that. But here we go. So yeah, I'm going to go into my notes. I already mentioned how I, loved it as a kid, saw it in theaters. It had a pretty big impact on me and my friend that I went and watched it with. Yeah, we left our freaking door to the hall wide open because he spent the night that night, and we left our fucking hallway light on. We were just so freaked out. That's how much of an impact it had. It's funny the way that these films, and I mean that was not normal for me, even at age 12, because I had seen so much horror. It was rare for a horror movie to have any sort of impact like this one did. So I mean, I'm sure there's lots of other people that this did nothing for, but it's weird. Everyone has those experiences. Like if you talk to anybody, they'll say, "Oh, this movie's what freaked me out," and you're like, "Really? That movie? It didn't do nothing to me." It's because horror does something different for everybody else. But for whatever reason, this movie it hit like a brick. But yeah, I mentioned how loved it, saw in theaters as a kid, and the haunting soundtrack. I mean, even from the opening piano tune. It's incredibly haunting, and even to this day, kind of gives me chills. Just gives me this haunting vibe. It fits really well with it, with the atmosphere, with just it's an incredibly creepy movie, at least in my opinion. Especially so when you're younger and all that other stuff, and if you're a fan of foreign horror. The next thing I'll go to is one second here. Well, this is kind of getting into one of the first scenes. So that's kind of why I stopped. But yeah, this movie gives me a lot of chills. It has a really strong atmospheric presence, a really dark presence. Like I said, even the soundtrack, just the actress who plays the apparition, basically the tormenting spirit. Because yeah, it's basically like a ghost sort of film. Um, is incredible in my opinion. I mean, I even learned a trivia thing is that the actress who plays that malicious spirit, the woman, is basically a contortionist. So that's how she's able to pull off the creepy fucking moves that she does. Because yeah, I mean, this thing will crawl around, twisting and contorting, and oh, it's just crazy, man. Even to this day, like I said, it gives me chills, and it's just I don't know. It's something. It's something that's like I said stuck with me. Just the sounds that it makes, the visuals, the camera shots, like all the stuff to me is done so well. It's all done so damn well. But really, I guess I can't really get into most other notes that I have here because I really don't want to spoil too much for if someone hasn't seen this movie. I'm assuming a lot of people watching this already have. But I want you to be surprised because the best way to go into this is to know very little, to let it kind of catch you by surprise. And I would say the same about most movies in general. You want to try to know as little as possible when you go into it, so that way it'll freak you out, catch you by surprise, and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick review. And I don't know if I'd say struggled with this, but yeah, when I was a kid, I will say I think I liked it more than I do now. Now I've seen more horror and stuff, but it does have a special place in my heart. So I decided to give it a 7. I feel like it's a really cool movie, and it's definitely worth a check out if you haven't already checked it out. I know other people might not be pleased with it. I've met quite a few people who didn't regard this film as anything special, but to me, it is something special. To me, it really succeeded in its horror vibes, that's for sure. But yeah, so everybody who just wanted to, see the review score and doesn't want to be spoiled, I will see you guys fucking later. For everyone else who wants to hear some more thoughts and other things like that, stick around. Here we fucking go. Let's delve into this shit. All right, so the first scene I want to talk to, which to me is one of my favorite scenes, and to me, one of the most terrifying scenes in this movie, the one that immediately struck me as a child, is the attic scene in the beginning. Because just God, like I put here in the notes, I said the sounds and shots set up perfectly. It's like breadcrumbs to something horrible. That's what I kind of attribute it to. As she's moving up the stairs, as she's moving through the hallway, and I'm talking about Yoko is her name. She's not the main character, but she's someone who was supposed to provide services for the owner prior to Karen, the main protagonist, arriving. But when you see her go up the stairwell, when you see her go down this hallway, when you see her enter the room, and you see the the closet door and just the sounds, the shot, I think it kind of goes up towards the ceiling, and you hear things up there. Like I said, it's like breadcrumbs to something horrible. Have you ever been sitting there and you're watching this situation transpire, like someone just slowly going into something that you is like, get the fuck out of there. Like, don't go in there. But it sets that up perfectly. Like, you can just tell by everything. Like I said, all the sounds, the camera, and I just love the design of even the home. Like, all of it sets this initial scene up perfectly, because at least for me, like I said, when I was a kid, this hit me hard because it grabs you. It's an immediate kind of grab, and it just pulls you the fuck into it. At least that's what it did for me. And what was even crazy is, upon watching it this time, I didn't even realize it, but when she opens the closet and she's even just going up into the attic to investigate, you can hear the sounds of the ghost of the woman. I think her name. Apologies if I butcher it, but I think it's a Keiko or something like that. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Sometimes I can nail these names right, sometimes I can't. But you can hear the sounds before she even gets up there. If you're listening closely, I listened to it with headphones, and you can hear in the background the death rattle, which is the sound that it basically makes. You can hear that in the background, and it was like, oh no, like, see, because everybody else who's watching it isn't even going to know what that is, even if they pick up on it. But I didn't even pick up on that all these years viewing it. But if you pay attention, you can hear it. And she goes up there, and like, another note I put here is, to me, it was perfect building, and it builds the atmosphere. And this movie showcases an atmosphere done right, building done right, in my opinion. And yeah, just that initial scene, she goes up there, she has this fucking lighter, and she's just creeping through the dark, and you just, out of nowhere, she's just there. She's just there. It's not like just an immediate kind of jump scare. You just turns, and she's right just there. You can just see it lingering there. It's horrifying. Like, and the way they set that up, when she's doing this, waving, kind of like looking around, kind of inspecting. To me, it was the perfect amount of time of build as well. I mean, it wasn't too soon. It wasn't too long. It had you on the edge of your seat. Like I said, I remember even as a kid just being like, oh my God, like feeling the chills, just feeling, get the hell out of there. You don't belong in this fucking place, man. You don't belong here. And it succeeds so well in that, like I keep saying. And that's how I feel about a lot of scenes in this movie. And another note I put here is the house, while beautiful, because it is a beautiful home. I mean, I love, the trees, just like the landscape, like everything about this home is a really beautiful home, but it has this looming dark feeling about it as well. Like, I feel like, the creators of this nailed all this kind of stuff just so damn well. Um, Later on, there's a scene where the boy, and it's not when the boy is an apparition, it's more like when he's not really alive, because he's not alive throughout this film. But there's a point when he's like on the stairs, and I think Karen's interacting with him and whatnot, and kind of regarding him like he's alive. She isn't aware of everything just yet. The stare that the child gives, is that alone is chilling to me. The fucking wide-eyed, creepy fucking stare. Like, the actors in this movie, to me, in particular, on, the side of these ghostly figures, are what excelled in this movie. I feel like the acting was pretty good, from everybody. But like I said, to me, the standout was the apparitions, was the ghostly presence, the atmosphere. The horror itself is the big strength of this movie. That's why I feel like it stands out. That's why I feel like, this franchise has gone on like it has, and we're seeing, a reemergence of it. Hopefully this one will be good, because I'm definitely going to go see this new one, and that's why I'm doing this review. But another note I have here is, I like how the story moves around. That's another thing. Is it's not just with Karen. It starts off with kind of Karen, but then it kind of jumps around, and it goes back to when the owners first arrived in this home. and it shows all these kind of different stories of all these people surrounding the situation. And I feel like that's done really well. I mean, you got to pay a little bit more closer attention. I think when I was a kid, I was more confused, and I could see how someone who's just casually watching this and not paying close enough attention could maybe be confused by the jumping around. So it requires a little more attention, but that's never an issue on, my behalf. I feel like that's perfectly fine. I like kind of when a movie requires you to have some more focus and it's doing some unique shit. It's kind of cool how the pacing is when it's jumping around like this, and it brings it kind of together full circle really well. But yeah, I put how I liked the story moving around. And here's the other thing. When it's dealing with Susan later on, there's no escaping it. That's what I have to put. That's what I put here as well. And I think that's another reason why this film was successful and freaking me the fuck out as a child, and why it's so successful. It's not something you can fight. And when I mean no escaping it, I'm not meaning like, a slasher that you can't run away from or blah blah blah. No, I'm meaning you can't escape it literally no matter what. You could hold up into a damn room, be under the blankets, and the fucker will appear in the blankets and grab your ass. Like, that blew me away as a fucking kid. I mean, at least to me, like, I hadn't seen shit like this. Usually you know where the monster is. And, as long as you kept running or whatever, but no, it's like it will find you no matter where you go, no matter what you do. It will come out of the darkness anywhere, in a fucking closet, in, the shower, basically anywhere darkness lies, wherever. This fucker will just pop the fuck up like the Kool-Aid Man and appear breaking down your walls, and he'll fuck you up. Yeah, this thing is freaky, that's for sure. But that in particular, with the blankets and stuff, oh man, like I said, that freaked me out because I mean, what's funny as well is when you're a kid, when you're younger, it's almost like the bed has some sense of security in a sense. That's what I've always found kind of funny. Is you see little kids do this all the time. They'll run to their bed and they'll cover up in the covers and everything and kind of like hide there, like that would even do anything if something was actually after you. But funny enough, the Grudge like feeds upon that. Like, you're not even safe in your fucking bed, for Christ's sake. This thing is just evil. It's pure fucking evil. That's why I love it. It enters your mind and doesn't escape in that way. And another thing I put when it comes to Susan is the camera footage when she's in the office building. Just, I mean, even the phone call, like when she's in the stairwell and she gets that phone call and you just hear that death rattle rattling out. It's done so perfectly, like eerie. It's just incredibly creepy to me. And the camera footage itself, as it's shambling the fuck along, is just, oh man, like it's very hard for me to explain it. But anybody who maybe agrees with me, you know what I'm saying. Like, it hits it perfectly. At least for me, this movie hit these horror vibes perfectly, and it nails the creepiness perfectly. It's so damn cool. I really like this film. Another thing is, as I keep mentioning, the sounds are incredibly creepy. Like that death rattle. Like, I don't know if when I think about it, out of all like the different sound effects, like to me, it's one of the top. It's one of the top, whatever you'd want to call it. If you want to call it like a creature sound effect, effect, apparition, whatever. The sound effect of the death rattle that this ghost makes is chilling. It's always chilling in this movie. It's always unsettling as hell, man. Especially when it's accompanied by her herself. But I mean, even without her, just the sound itself, it gives you chills. And so yeah, it sets all this stuff up great. Number 12, yeah, it's the 12th note I have here. The reflection in the window on the bus. That was hilarious. I remember when I was sitting there as a kid and we were watching it, and that one just kind of comes out of nowhere too, because who the hell expects to just be looking out the window at the scenery and then boom, it's like the death rattles in your damn, and it's in your fucking face on the bus. Give me a damn break. Let me have a fucking trek to the damn restaurant or something. Shit, like. But it was funnier than hell because that one got me and my friend pretty damn hard too. It was great. And another thing I put here is when Yoko's walking and her jaw is off. That was crazy too. Like, just all of these moments, I feel like the pacing's done perfectly, and that's, I think, like I said, what I keep kind of drawing back to is I feel like the atmosphere is done so well, the sound effects, the horror soundtrack, the fucking, everything about this to me succeeds, and that's why I think it's grown like it has, and why it's still stuck around, and why, at least to me and others who probably like this film, why it's so strong. It has like its own kind of vibe, and it's a really strong one, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, I think that's about everything that I kind of wanted to touch on. I mean, I've kind of gone through all the things I want to. I mean, I'm sure there's things that other people would like to discuss. I mean, like how, the apparitions actually became what they are and whatever. But I mean, the movie kind of explains that. It's really, I guess I will kind of add on that. That's a really tragic thing. That kind of shows, what love can do, and how people can't really handle the wildfire that is love, whatever you want to call it. The when shit goes wrong in relationships and whatnot. I mean, the guy, obviously, the father of the household who caused everything, yeah, he should have obviously responded better. But yeah, that for me was a really kind of sad moment. I mean, really, like even taking it out on the child and the cat, like, that goes to show you kind of what the movie's about, at least what the ghost is about, which is the rage, just this pure rage that consumed everything and everyone there in that situation. Is just, you know, like I said, I feel like even the backstory was really well done, really good. The kind of the filter that it shows, the artwork, like in the diary, is really creepy and well done. Like, to me, there's so many good aspects about this film that make it succeed and make it stand out to me. That's why it's, to me, was a success, why probably others like it. That's the other thing that I find weird is I keep kind of mentioning I know other people might not like it, and I'm not saying I'm defending this film, but I've met actually quite a bunch of people who really don't like this film for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it's because they watched other foreign horror beforehand, whereas this was kind of more of an introduction for me. But yeah, for whatever reason, among a lot of people that I've talked to personally, a lot of them just really didn't care for it. But for me, this movie always stood out. And this movie has a special place. And I'm sure all of you guys have that special movie in your childhood, or, something that had a huge impact on you. I mean, feel free to share those in the comments. It'd be cool to maybe check some out that I haven't seen that, are worth checking out and everything. I'm always looking for, different horror films and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I guess that's basically everything I wanted to mention. I gave it a 7, a really cool horror film. Maybe my score is just a little bit biased, just because, like I said, it's special to me and was really impactful. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed The Grudge if you watched it. I hope you guys are hyped like I am for the new one. And yeah, I hope you're also having a fantastic new year. I forgot to address that. It is a new year now, and so this is the first review of the new year. I hope you're all having an amazing new year, amazing holidays, watching some good horror maybe, anticipating a new fantastic year of horror with me. And yeah, if you basically, like horror stuff, you like this review, you like my ridiculous, ramblings, opinions, whatever it is, like, comment, subscribe for more of that stuff, because, I'm going to be watching a lot more horror and doing reviews on that stuff. So, like, comment, subscribe if you wish to. And I will see you guys next time. Agony333 signing out. Have yourselves an amazingly fantastic day, everybody. Peace.